Welcome to the complete animation of Princess Daisy from Smash House. This is one of the greatest indie animation projects I have ever seen. It's like, you know those other huge indie animation projects like Starbarians or A Fox in Space? Yeah, Smash House is on that level. Not in terms of just pure animation quality, but I'll get to that. But in terms of writing, in terms of the creator's absolute passion for his craft. So let's start off. The main animator here, in fact, the creator, he's the writer, he puts everything together. The only thing he doesn't do is all of the voice acting because he hires really good voice actors to voice the characters in this show. He works for Carbot Animations, and this is his secondary passion project. And he pours his heart and soul into this project, and the fact that it isn't more popular is just so heartbreaking for me. The quality on display here, just the absolute mastery of storytelling that this show puts on display, it breaks my heart that it hasn't been swept up by the YouTube algorithm and become huge and popular and massive, because it deserves it. And what is it that it deserves? It's hard to explain. This is one of those shows. I think that's one of the reasons why it's so hard, the reason this show struggles is because the appeal just doesn't pop out immediately. It's not incredibly funny. It does have some really good jokes, but like, being short and funny isn't what Smash House is about. What it is a deep and heartfelt character drama where characters actually feel like characters. Like, they have entire story arcs to go through. And in this age of, short form video content, an animated show that really wants you to be invested in its characters and go along their journey with them, it just, how do you sell that? How do you tell somebody about it? And if you ask somebody to watch the first episode is literally a guy who is down in the dumps, drowning away his sorrows by just distracting himself playing video games. And then his overworked roommate comes home and is trying to do at least something to get this slob to get something done. It's like, that is such a good episode. I still think that the first episode might just be my favorite. But it is such a good episode. But you can't just have somebody sit down and watch it. It's like, hey, do you want to watch this animated thing? It's not particularly funny. It takes a while for it to sink in exactly who these characters are and what their motivations are and what else is going on in their life. But it's so good. And then once you get invested and you see all the characters and how all of their storylines intertwine and they have meaningful impacts on one another, it is so good. And Smash House is deep. One of the big major themes in Smash House is that it is about number twos. It's like, in video games, there are a surprising number of number twos, and a bunch of that came because of, early time in the video games. It's like, what can you do to change a character? Oh, you can just give them a palette swap. And so the characters are like Ken from Street Fighter. It's like, we know who the big character from Street Fighter is. It's Ryu. But no, this story is about Ken. Or Princess Daisy. We know who the big princess is in the Mario games. It's Peach. But what about Daisy? It's like, it's a miracle that she even gets into games that she does, it feels like. Or Ganondorf, who is clearly playing second fiddle to Link. It's like, Link is the star of the show. But Ganondorf, you know, he is literally the third part of the Triforce. And so this entire show is all about those number twos. You would think, oh, so Luigi is in there. And he is, but he is not a major character. Like, Luigi he's sort of the superstar of number twos. But why is that? Why are these number two characters so meaningful? And I think that's because deep down, all of us feel like number twos. All of us feel like there is just someone else in the world who overshadows us, where when people think of us, they're like, oh yeah, they are such and such's little brother. And it's like, what? You can't know me because of me? You have to know me because of someone bigger and more famous than me? And so that is one of the things that just resonates so much with me in Smash House. It's that it is the story of the number twos in the world. And it's like, even these people who aren't, the stars, they have their own lives. And it turns out that maybe their life is maybe a little bit more interesting. Because all these number ones, it's like the world was just handed to them. Like they didn't have to, they were just successful. Let's talk about the visuals of Smash House. Smash House has limited visuals, limited animation, but there is beauty in that simplicity. It's like you hear about early video games and how specific design choices for those games were made to accommodate the limitations that they had. And it turns out that a bunch of those limitations bred creativity. Like that's one of the things. I've heard it in many ways that having some amount of restrictions on what you can do with your creative form helps to guide you towards what you to be creative within a sphere. More so than it's like, hey, be creative and literally anything is possible. And when everything is possible, it's like, okay, what do I do with this? But it's like, here is a limited format, do something with it. And then you get to work and you make use of the tools you have. And that is what Smash House is. Smash House has a relatively simple art style. It's more complicated than Carbot animations that this animator also works on. But it uses its limited art style and animation to such good effect. And a part of it is just practical. This is a one-man show who's writing it and animating it and getting other people to voice act. He also voice acts Ken. When you hear Ken, one of the main characters, it's like, oh, that's the guy who makes this. And what do you know? That takes a bit of humility to have the main character of the show also be one of the characters who is the most deeply flawed. But the limited animation makes it so that this show is even feasible. If you I'm part of the Discord server that the creator of Smash House puts on, and he can draw. Like, if you want something more complicated, like a less simple drawing of a character and a better animation, he can do it. But what Smash House does is it makes the entire project feasible. And one of the things that he doesn't skimp out on is the voice acting. It's like, I always say anime doesn't even try with voice acting. It's like, it's been documented time and time again that they do all the animation before a single voice hits the microphone because it's cheaper. But Smash House animates properly, where the entire voice track is finished beforehand and then animated to the voice track. And that is incredibly difficult, and I cannot praise this show enough for the visuals that it does manage. And if you want to see this animation style put through its paces, all you have to do is watch the episode where Ganondorf and Bayonetta have their big fight. It's like, if you want the cheap and, low-hanging fruit thrills of animation, then it's either fight scenes or it's jokes. And while Smash House does have both, and Ganondorf's fight with Bayonetta is an incredible fight scene. I can still watch it and be like, oh, this is such a good fight. And part of the reason why it's so good is because it is the release. It is the catharsis. The entire show before that fight was building up to that fight. It's like a bunch of shows are like, oh, let's fight because it's a fight. No. In Smash House, every fight has a reason, and every fight is there to show the character that they are, they mean business. Ugh. Especially the final fight of season 1. The final fight, it is one of the hardest things to do, to write a story where the main character intentionally throws the big finale and make that feel good, make that feel earned. It's just oh, so the main character, they got all this way, and then they fought, and then they're doing well, and they got it in the bag, and then they throw it all away. You better have a darn good reason for them to do it. And Smash House nails it. Ken doesn't win the final battle at the end of season 1. In fact, he was going to win, but he basically just was like, I'm good. I don't need to win here. And it is so good. And the best part is that Daisy is going to have basically that moment for her. I know it's going to happen because I've gotten some sneak peeks, and Daisy is going to be fighting in the ring in season 2, and it's going to be amazing. Let's talk a bit about Daisy before this video's over. She's voiced by Just Jess, who is a streamer. She does a really good job voicing Daisy. And Daisy, her outfit and her design in Smash House, just, simple overalls and a yellow shirt. Peak. It's so good. I cannot recommend Smash House enough. And if this video could in any way direct more people to watch it, that would just mean the world to me. Thanks for watching.